Again, you missed my introduction. So I'm Arvind Naik. I'm an engineer by profession. I stumbled upon meditation about 15 years ago, and I tried a few things. It took me a couple months, 3 months to really get hang of it. But once I got hang of it, once I started experiencing benefits, I'm like, okay, that's how can I not have not done this all this time? So, and my wife also 6 months later, she kind of also tried it, and now both of us, we have a community. We go and help people meditate, and our kids meditate. So we're just very happy to share whatever we know, and free of charge. So it just gives satisfaction to us, sharing what we have learned from the ancient technique and the modern science. I'm a scientist. I used to work in the science research organization for many years. Now I work for a company which makes sleep number beds. But I come from science, so I had interest in like, okay, what's the scientific reason? What is happening when you meditate? Is it just a belief? Is it just imagination? Is it just people are pretending to be benefited? So I was curious to learn that as well as experience myself, and so I haven't been disappointed at all, and I've been actually very excited about what I've been finding, and I'm working with a lot of other communities. I go to police and help them also to meditate. One of the Columbia Heights Police Department is very open to, practicing mindfulness to, deal with their day-to-day stress.
How about the Roseville Police Department?
No, this is Columbia Heights, but I'm happy to, if you have any connection, I'm happy to, give them a, and I'm giving a talk in St. Paul City, so city employees are going to be also benefiting. So first thing, let's go over some slides to understand the basics of what meditation is, what it's doing to us, and then I'll pause multiple times. Feel free to pause me. So fundamentally, as a human being, we're very busy, right? And busyness creates some sort of stress. Now, we are capable of handling some stress, but at times the stress becomes unmanageable, or it's a chronic stress. Sometimes the stress stays over a long time. We don't realize it. It takes its toll. So our goal, with one of the meditation goals, is to be aware of our health and knowing that we can address it. Many times people take it like, oh, well, I'm stressed. That's because of the outer situation. Well, of course, you cannot change the outer situation, but there is something you can do to be stronger to deal with those situations in a successful way. Okay, so what happens? The stress is created by our wandering mind. Our mind wanders in many directions. You will be sitting here, but if you notice where your thoughts are, you will go in and out of this room multiple times. This is not a surprise. We are human beings. I'm not criticizing. It just happens to me as well. So when we are analyzing, our mind is very analytical, and it tries to relate things. It remembers the past. It's speculating about future, worrying about future. It's trying to plan for future, back and forth. I mean, it's going back, forth. I mean, if I say a word and it reminds you of something, you might go back. Oh yeah, my mom used to say that, or something like that. So the point is that we're constantly back and forth, back and forth. Now some of it is we consider normal, but at times it goes in a what's it called, steroid. Like it goes too much when too many things are going on, and that could create some stress. And sometimes we don't want to realize it. It's only if you can calm down and slow down and just reflect that you notice that, oh, well, there is a stress, and I need to break. And many times that's manifest as, I need a break, I need a vacation, I need to shut down whatever that I'm doing and go into some, a place where I can relax a little bit. And that's why people go for vacation. I mean, it's a big business, right? People go to spas and all kinds of entertainment we talked about. So there's many ways to entertain our mind, so we feel that, oh, now I've dealt with the stress that was building. But many of these techniques, which are outer technique, they don't really address the root cause. They just are temporary, and then you come back to the same environment, back to the same thing. Well, you haven't changed anything for yourself. You just pause the feeding to the brain, and then as soon as you go back to the same environment, You are the same, the environment is the same, brings the same stress back. Many people, of course, sleeping is really good thing, but again, also sleeping exercise also only temporarily gives a temporary relief. It gives a physical relaxation, it gives you mental relaxation a little bit. But when you wake up and go to the same office or same environment, you're back to same issues again. So what needs to change? Meditation is a practice where we go not to the same environment, we go think differently. So, Albert Einstein said, if you keep doing the same thing and expect a different result, what do you call that, right? So it's a different out-of-box thinking. It's like, okay, now there's some other solution. How can I change my perspective? How can I elevate my awareness, my consciousness, and reflect differently? There was an anecdotal story. This is from the East. There was a king, and he had a group of ministers, and he would test them once in a while. So one day he drew a line in the sand and asked the minister to say, "Can you reduce the size of this? Can you shorten this line without touching it?" And so the ministers scratched their head and like, yeah, well, how can we do without touching it? I mean, we have to pour the sand on it or do something else to the line. How can we reduce it? And they gave up. But one of them was smarter, so he said, "Okay, I think I have a solution for it." And he just took a stick and drew a bigger line next to it. So he said, "Now your line is shorter." So now, how does it relate to meditation? This is my reflection. Is we are all of a sudden we are living in a context. Let's say something seems big to us, and we are connected to something higher, something more powerful, something like force of life, and then all of a sudden the same problem seems smaller. So if you only, I'm not saying you have it, but let's say you only had $1,000 and you lost $200. Well, that will be devastating if you lost 20% of your wealth. But if you thought you had 1,000, you lost 200, and then someone tell you, no, you have a bank account which has $1 million in it. So now all of a sudden the $200 pain seems, oh, okay, not a big deal now. Now that I have $1 million, I can deal with that kind of a problem. So that's the kind of perspective is what meditation is giving us. Is giving us an experience of some higher energy within us, and it also giving us experiencing a space within us, which changes our perspective of how we look at things. Does that make sense? So that's one of the things we will be focusing on. Well, I'll show you how to do it. So as you can see, the mind is a wavering and wandering entity, and so in order to experience this energy within the center within us, we have to have this mind not wander as much. So that's where the practice of meditation helps. We help the mind still, like become stable, make more equipoise, and so not waver as much. So the triggers are always going to be there outside in the environment, but how can we practice ourselves so little triggers don't go, make us go in a big oscillation? Does that make sense? It is basically strengthening our inner core, inner self, our inner understanding, and it comes with practice. And with practice, one can change ourselves in a way where we're able to deal with the situation much more calmly. This is one of the benefits. But as you can imagine, once your mind is calmer, there's so many things can open up for us, right? Not just dealing with some minor problem here and there. It just changes the perspective on our life. Okay, so the question is, can we do it really? Does it even work? Because many people, and I was a skeptic too, like, okay, I'm not sure if it works. But I believed in it for a few months, and I went through the course and the classes, and it made an impact on me. In fact, one day what happened is I wasn't even sure it's working until some incident happened in my home. My wife made a comment. She said, "Well, how come you did not get angry this time?" And I said, "Yeah, maybe I did not think that was a big deal, but maybe 3 months before, when I was not meditating, I could have made a tantrum out of this. So then I realized that the meditation that I'm practicing is really working. It's just very subtle. It's very hard to see, but you can realize some of that if you become conscious of it. And then all of a sudden the other things open up for me, and then I got hooked onto it. So, well, I'm going to skip down the slide. One of the goal of meditation is, now many people think that, oh, I want to control my mind, right? I want to not wander, but actually the mind will have to do its job. There is an inner self. We don't want that mind to control us. It's not that we can control the mind. The mind should not control us, is the goal. What we truly are. And now we'll go into that a little bit. Does that help a little bit? And feel free to ask a question anytime. So here's a good analogy. Deepak Chopra, he's a doctor and scientist who is saying that it's a way of making your mind quiet and enter into the quiet that's already there, buried under 50,000 thoughts a day. So, this is scientifically proven that we get 50 to 70,000 thoughts a day. That's mind-blowing. That means if you sit here for an hour, you would have had a couple thousand thoughts. And as a human being, wow, how can I think 2,000 things? I probably don't even have so much things to think about. So these are not necessarily new thoughts. These are not like, you're thinking about 2,000 different things. These are probably 20 things that you're thinking over and over again. Does that make sense? It repeats. And as and some of them are subconscious thoughts, what we are not even aware of. So if I ask you what are you thinking about, maybe you're thinking about, you're thinking about what am I going to eat for dinner tonight, right? Or when is this class going to be over? It's going to be, I'm going to be going to bed, or you have a dog to feed or whatever. So that's your conscious thought. But subconsciously, a lot of things are happening. As you drive, and I'm just giving an example, if you drive, well, you think that you're starting from your home and you're in the library, let's say. But you're in conscious mind, you might say, what did you think along the way? So no, nothing, just getting to the library, right? Making sure I could reach here safely. Maybe I thought about, is it going to be open or closed, or what program I'm going to be attending, and so on. But subconsciously, well, how many things happened? Well, there was a driver who was not driving nicely. There was traffic light, there were road conditions or not, it was too cold. You got so many reactions to that internally, you don't know. Not consciously. Does that make sense? So our mind is a home which is really in turmoil. And a hurricane is a great example of to show that there's lots of things churning in our mind. But in the middle of all of that, there is a center in us. There's a center of us, which is calm and peaceful. And what we are trying to do is not stop the hurricane, but try to enter into that quiet that is within us. It's a very powerful source of energy. It's the life source. It's not like something magical, or it's not something strange. It is part of our living being. We're living being. We have life source. We have tremendous energy in us. If you look at the biology of it, it's a miracle that we're here, right? How the human body works with so many things happening. 99.999% we don't even know how the cells are changing. I was just amazed to hear. I'm not a biologist, but when my son is studying the medical medicine right now, and he said, like, in 7 years the whole body changes completely, all the cells. So 7 years later,
like 7 years here, and that's where all the changes happen.
so all they interestingly, they arrange back to the same structure, so you feel like, oh, I'm the same person. You still recognize yourself, but each and every cell that was there 7 years has gone completely in your cell as well.
Wow.
So things are happening. I'm just thinking that the mind is like that. It's doing lots of thousands of things, and what we want to do, sometimes we don't realize, creates stress in us. It creates anxiety in us. It creates worries, and with the more interaction we have, the more not in harmony we are with the environment, the more stress we create. So what Deepak Chopra is saying and what our teachers are saying is that we need to enter into this quiet regularly. Not only go once to experience that there is one quiet, but go there regularly, practice it, so you can go there at will. Eventually become so good at it that so you can see the thoughts and you can say, oh, I don't want to entertain this thought. I just want to be in the quiet. You know, it's a negative thought. It's draining my energy. So one of the interesting aspects of thought is also it drains our energy. And the negative thoughts drain more energy than the positive thoughts. Even though both drain energy, the positive drain less energy, negative drains a lot of energy. The more negative it is, the more energy is drained. And that's why many people who, like me, who go to office, work 8-10 hours a day in a computer, and we're not done physically pretty much nothing. Just sitting and sending emails, maybe going to a meeting room next door and coming back. Maybe going for lunch at the cafeteria and coming back. So physically I've not done anything, but at the end of the day we're exhausted. Why? So it's all mental, right? The energy is, mental energy is draining us because maybe there was a conflict, maybe you don't know if you're going to meet the project timeline, maybe you don't know the boss is reacting to it. So there may be many reasons that you're not aware, but this 50 to 70,000 thoughts in a day, they are draining our energy. So if you go with them, it drains more energy. If you can go to the center, you can save that energy. And you can go. It's not that you don't think, but you can choose to think and not think. You can say, that thought, it's not helpful right now. Because how helpful it is to go think the same negative thing over and over again. You may want to think it once, okay, move on, right? There's no help to think over it. So meditation is a practice which allows us to go to our own center. And the technique that we follow, is actually, now you may say, how do I know I'm at the center, right? So there is an experience. There is an experience of calmness, peace, joy, and you experience some light. Actually, there's light energy that you experience. And so those who meditate, they experience it. So now there's no question of, it's just an imagination. It's an involuntary light that you experience. That's why we call the meditation as Jyoti meditation, or the light, inner light. Now, so I already talked about this subconscious mind, and 90% of us, 90% of our mind is subconscious, and therefore many times we're not aware of it, but it's acting. It's draining. It has fears. It has doubts. It can be anything, depending on how your life is. And so many times, as you meditate, you become aware. Now, this is Sigmund Freud, so not me. There is a lot of layers to our being. And so as a meditator, we become aware of this and be able to manage this. It's not that we're going to change this whole process, but we can manage it better. We can say, that thought is not helpful, so how do I be at peace? And then it has impact on our health. So why do thoughts pop up all of a sudden? You might be sitting and quietly and reading a book, and all of a sudden a thought pop up. Well, because they're buried in our subconscious, and like a lava lamp, these thoughts are coming up. If they get an energy or trigger, they pop up, right? And so now, and they drain energy. So just becoming aware of this process. So meditation can help, and meditation changes the structure. I mean, it is doing some physiological changes also. So it's not just, hey, make you feel better, but it is actually changing. So and the scientists have found the cortical thickness of the brain changes, the hormones changes. It promotes creativity. Like many times, the creative ideas come from almost nothing, and it's not. Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Structure of the brain, does that change how old you are? If your brain is older, does it still change?
We'll have to, I'm not the researcher, but we can look into that. I think it's universal that if you meditate, it does changes the cortical thickness of the brain. So, but I'm not familiar with the nuance, what it does with the age. Is it changes more when you're at 20s versus at 60s? But it does change for sure.
It does change.
Yeah, it may be different rates, but I'm not familiar with that. But does change. The brain is changing, and the frontal lobe here, which is responsible for intuition, empathy, just understanding emotions, emotional balance, and so that's the main area which gets affected by meditation. So there are many benefits. Communication, empathy. Now you're calmer, obviously you're listening better, and overall that helps. Now let's move to the experience aspect of it. Who do you think you can relate to? See, there is a dog, and there's a guy, and what is the guy thinking?
You think about the dog or the
Whatever what was your observation?
well, it's either full.
Both are
full
mind
kind
and
of
full.
thing, and the other one's very focused on the moment.
Right, one is having a full mind with thoughts, which is what our normal state is. And the dog is, and again, this is a concept to show. I'm not sure if dogs are really mindful or not, but if we are mindful, we see things as is. And it could be the states in a day, maybe certain times you are more mindful than the other time. So it's just a space, mindful and mindful, makes so much difference. You are more present to the situation. And nowadays, even in corporations, they're saying, oh, be present in the meeting. Don't go and look at your emails, or, you're in this meeting where you're worrying about the last meeting or the future meeting and not paying attention to what somebody's saying. And how many times in a meeting people say, so what did you say? Sorry, I missed it. Can you repeat? And your mind is wandering so much that you're never present. And so what mindful meditation is giving us the mindfulness, which means being present. Being present here and now. It's very powerful. And that's coming from our center. So we're in tune with our center. The hurricane that I was showing, the center we have, we're in tune with us. We're in tune with our the soul or the spirit. I mean, there's many names to it. But being who we are, it's in tune, and so we're present. Mind is not wandering. Now, as I'm not sure if you have any patient who's going through a surgery, and you look at the doctor. If the doctor is focused, you have a confidence. Oh, it's going to be doing a good job because it's very focused. And if the doctor is not focused, you get all kinds of scared. Is he going to do that? Is it how to do it? I mean, it's worried about whatever things other than my patient. So how do I? So that stability of mind and being present is very important. Not for just the doctors. Doctors, you can feel it. Like, oh, you better be focused in doing the surgery. You shouldn't be joking around or worrying about birthday party or your salary or what happened to the employee, or if you have any quarrel. Focus on what you're doing, right? So that comes with meditation.
I did go to a talk, a fellow that is a physician. His interest is research, and what he has been paying attention to is the impact of the increased technological onslaught that we're dealing with, and what we can handle. And he said we can't.
Yes.
It used to be slow.
Right.
Now it's like this. And when you're mentioning the mindful, how many times do you see people on their phone?
Yeah, the distractions.
No matter what they're doing, when they're talking to you, they're checking.
There are distractions. There are many distractions, and that's why accidents are happening when people are driving. They're trying to text someone because they want to get somewhere. I mean, there are more distractions. In fact,
he was a doc, so at the end, half of the talk was his prescription. He said, I can't give you a bad diagnosis without, but one of them was meditation.
Yeah, absolutely. So meditation, you can almost, it's needed more and more, so you can get things done, whatever you need to. Now, the gadgets are useful. I'm not saying, because I'm a technologist myself, and I use gadgets to do my job and my work and my home too. So they're useful as long as you know how to use them, as long as they are your servant versus they are your master.
And they change often.
Yeah.
That was the other thing.
Keep it up to date.
Always
right.
updating.
Exactly. So being calm and being able to learn them and properly use them is an important aspect as well. Okay, so I'm going to share So we talked about physical, mental, emotional, spiritual benefit. I mean, meditation is beneficial. If we are peaceful, you notice that in our family, our reactions are going to be peaceful. We're going to be less fighting with each other. And so if our families are peaceful, the communities will be peaceful. And it will ripple into a peaceful world. So, you know, if you care about the world to be peaceful, you can start with yourself. And that's what we recommend as the gate. You know, start with ourselves. If we can be peaceful, we are going to make change. Even though we think that, oh, I'm just one person, but maybe other people like you are doing it the same way. So start with ourselves. Okay. So let me talk about the instructions, and maybe let's practice for a few minutes right now, and then we will do a couple times. So one time we'll do with the so what I'm going to do, I know you'll be reading right now, everybody. Pause. I don't want you to read. Listen. So what we can do, let's sit for some time, and just practice awareness. So meditation is about being aware of all of our energies. And we are having physical energy, which are calories we eat, have physical energy. We have mental energy, which allows us to think, and emotional energy also, where we are either upset, angry, or loving, or caring, and kind. There is another spiritual energy within us, which is who we are, the life force that runs us, that makes us alive. Now we are going to tap into that. We're usually not aware of that, and we don't do much about it. So with meditation, we're going to calm down ourselves. The first thing we do is relax. Take a deep breath and let go, so that you're calmer, peaceful. Now I'm going to sit down in front of you, so you can feel like I have something to say. It's very calming and important. Just realize that you just pay attention to your toes, your feet, your legs, and just relax them. Just notice that there is maybe some tension, parts of your legs, and just relax. Just let it go. And if someone, usually I say, you can sit in a chair, or you can sit on the floor, or at your home you can find a comfortable sofa or chair. And so you don't have to sit in comfortable pose. You can sit in a pose that's comfortable to you. And slowly start relaxing your torso. Try to keep your back straight. Relax your shoulders. You can just give them a little bit of massage. Relax your neck. Become aware that your head is steady and not like tilting or creating a stress in your neck. Just steady and easy resting on your shoulders. Now, let the breath go normally, so you don't have to change your breath, it's just going normally. Now, look at a distant point in front of you, at a far, far, far away, and then, so that your eyeballs are straight and relaxed, and then you gently close your eyes. So your eyeballs are relaxed and straight. Once you close your eyes, now your body is resting, it's relaxed. But with your eyes closed, try to gaze in front of you. And just notice what happens in your mind. Where is the attention going? I'm giving you a task of gazing in front of you. All you have to do is just gaze. And you may see darkness, you may see light coming from outside, you may see you may have some other experiences. Just gently gaze into whatever you're seeing. And pay attention to where your attention goes. Your job is to keep your attention right there. So we'll try for next 3 to 5 minutes. Thank you. Just gently open your eyes. How are you feeling? Calmer? Okay. Was it easy to keep your attention and try gazing? Did you notice something?
Gazing, but my mind is
Going around? So you noticed that when you were thinking about anything, you didn't gaze, you did not see anything.
I kept concentrating to come back to the gaze. Thoughts going through.
Thoughts keep coming back, right? Did you have any other observation?
A little sleepy.
A little sleepy, very good. Okay, that's very normal also. Because your body relaxes, his brain is drained, that when you relax, it's the time to sleep. Because most of us are sleep deprived, so it's catching up, seizing opportunities. Oh, there you go. And shut down. Anything else?
The same cycle.
Cycle of mind, thoughts. Okay.
And different awarenesses. I notice how cool my legs were.
Yes, that's an interesting observation. So all of a sudden you become aware of things which were, you were not earlier paying attention to. Because now the mind has time to go around and check these things out. Very interesting.
I did study Hatha Yoga.
Okay,
for
great.
years, and so for me it's breath.
Okay.
I was breathing.
You were paying attention to
I
breath.
was paying more attention to my
But see,
breath.
when I asked you that you had to gaze, were you able to gaze then?
Pardon?
You have to gaze in front of you with your eyes closed. Would you be, with your breath, you would not be able to gaze because your attention goes on breath. Now, I'm not against the breathing, but I'm just saying in order to go to the center, this energy will have to kind of rise above the bodily activities. So while many of the yoga techniques do focus on breathing, which is very relaxing, so absolutely they're very useful, but the technique that I'm teaching you, it's all about the attention, and it's about experiencing an inner, your center. Through this meditation, you experience some light energy, you experience some light, and so that won't happen if your attention is on your body or any activity of the body. For example, you could be looking at a dot on a wall, and that will still your attention, but it'll be outside it, so you won't experience the inner energy. So all those are techniques are very good, but they're not heading to the place where I'm trying to get to that. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
So no, I'm not against the breathing, by the way. You should practice, and it's really calming.
That's how I relax.
It's a really good way to relax.
That is what I do.
Take a
Relax.
deep breath, and then, but you have to let go of the breath. So next time, try to let go of the breath. Just a normal breath. That's all. The body knows how to breathe, and our role to get to the center is to gaze. So I'm gazing at the wall like clock. There's a clock behind you, and I'm just gazing at it. I'm doing that with the eyes closed. That's all. So when I'm doing with the eyes closed, I see darkness, and I see some light patterns that come and go. And you quickly realize that some of those light coming from within you. And that's exactly what we want you to experience. There is a light, outer light also, because unfortunately this room is really nicely less lit, not bright. But if you are in a bright place or in the daylight, you're trying to close your eyes, you see a lot of light coming from outside still. But it only lasts for a few seconds or a minute. If you keep gazing, you notice that your attention shifts from the physical eyes to a third eye. So we have what we know as the energy center in the behind the two eyebrows. We call it single eye, or it's the energy center. It's called, some people call it chakra. Some people call it inner eye or third eye. But there is an eye of the attention. So the attention expands from here, then it goes into our five senses. We have an attention, the source is right here. And so when we stop our sensory inputs to our mind, the attention is just floating in the thoughts initially. And now we're trying to center it. We're trying to be in one place, like we're trying to, so attention cannot be still if our mind is wandering.
When you talk about the light, most of the time, when I relax like this, at some point, this brilliant blue
Great.
fills me.
Beautiful.
is that the light? you're talking
Absolutely,
about?
that is beautiful. I mean, if you're experiencing that, that's a beautiful thing. Inner blue light, this has nothing to do with the outside. You can open your eyes, nothing to do outside. It's all coming from within you.
Yeah.
And so the more you experience it, what you need to do is you need to still your body. The body has to be still, because if you move your body or doing any activity, the attention is there. And so even though the light is there, we're missing it. It's like you have a beautiful room in your house, which is your true home or relaxing place, but you are in the playground or you're in the outside or driving in a car somewhere else. So you won't be able to experience that. What we need to do is bring our attention to this place. And how you bring it is three things. Number one, you still the body. Stilling the body is necessary so our attention doesn't go outward. Next we do is we close the five senses. We shut down, not completely shut down, but just kind of not having it active. So we close our eyes. That takes about 83% of our attention, which is going outward through the senses. About 13% or 14% goes through the ears. So we are sitting in a quiet place, nobody's talking, that 14% is gone. If you don't eat anything, change the room, the smell of the room, and do not put anything or not touch anybody's hand or body, then all the fives are basically not creating any obstruction in experiencing this within. So that's the second step. The third step, which is the hardest, and now the two are easy to do. Close down, sit down, and sit quiet. Now the most difficult thing is stilling the mind, because the mind is constantly wandering. So now we tried it without the, we tried to do it on our own, and we experienced the difficulty in stilling it. So I'm going to give you a tool this time. Okay, we're going to do it again with this tool we call repetition. So what we're going to do is we're going to give our mind a mantra or a word to repeat. So now we're going to do the same thing. You're just going to gaze in front, and I'm just doing it with the open eye for a second to demonstrate, but I'm going to do it with the closed eyes. You're going to do it with the closed eye. So you're just gazing, and then your mind says, what am I going to do tomorrow? You know, I have an appointment with the doctor, or I have to meet my friend in the evening, blah, 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 blah. And then you miss this, what is happening. Or your mind wanders into the past and says, well, yesterday I had a, interesting experience with this person, and, maybe I should meet him again, or her again, or whatever, right? Or once she was not nice to me, how come, and what can I do to tell her that she must be nice to me? Whatever, right? Could be something that happened. It could be a holiday party that you enjoyed, or it could be something that you're worried about. So our mind is constantly wandering. So what we give is it's a task to say, just stay here and let me see the light. And how do you do that? You tell a mind to repeat a word. You can repeat any word. If you're not sure what to repeat, I just usually say pick one of either love or peace. Just say peace. Or if you have any other favorite word, fine. But the word should not be triggering more thoughts. Does that make sense? We're not thinking about the word peace right now. We're just repeating a word peace. We're not thinking about loving someone. We're just saying love. That's a word. And if we repeat it while gazing, so I'm going to do peace. 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 Well, tomorrow I have to go to the next library. Wait a minute, I'm meditating. Peace. Peace. Well, yesterday, wait a minute, I'm supposed to be here. Peace. Peace. As soon as I say the word, my attention come back, and then I'm able to gaze. So does that make sense? So are we going to try now again?
Is this where they go, where you hear people do the om?
You could do all, yes, that's fine.
Is that the same, is that what you're talking about?
It is, at this time, the word doesn't matter.
Mhm.
It's just a tool to stay in the present moment.
Mhm.
Some people like to do certain word because they relate that to something, maybe spiritually or in yoga terms, and that's fine too. All I want you to do is just take a word. And just repeat.
I was just curious.
It doesn't have to be one syllable. It shouldn't be too complicated where you like, what was that word? Am I spelling it correctly? You don't want to go anywhere. You just want a simple repetition. And many people say just choose God if you're a religious person. So use the God's name. or just say peace or love. It doesn't matter. It has to be simple and it has to be non-distracting. So if you sit down and close your eyes, again relax your body, and this time let the breath go normally, and just pay attention to what you're experiencing through the attention. Relax yourself completely, let the breath go normally. And with your eyes, open your eyes, keep your eyeballs straight, and then gently close. Once your eyes are closed, gaze into the middle as if you are sitting in a theater and waiting for a movie to begin. You just don't know what movie will come and whether it will come. You may continue to see darkness, which is all right too, but your attention should be into the gazing. And since our mind wanders, we are going to use a word and repeat it gently in the mind, very slowly, with a gap in between. So we're going to say peace, 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 and just continue gazing. It has to be repeated not out loud, just in the mind, completely in the mind. And gaze in the middle. So we're going to sit for next 10 minutes this time and see how you feel. Good luck. If you find yourself wandering into thought, gently bring your attention back to gazing and continue to feel over and over again. And do it with less effort, but just let it happen.